What should you do if a hacktivist is on your tail? Welcome to Threat Talks. My name is Lieuwe Jan Koning, and here from headquarters at Ontoit, we bring you Threat Talks, and the subject of today is APT Handala. Let's get on to it.
Welcome to Threat Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
I'm joined here today by my two dear colleagues. First of all, Yuri Wit. He's a SOC analyst. Welcome. That means that he looks a lot at anything that happens in the world, and so he knows a thing or two about how hacktivists work. So we're going to learn from you today. And on the other side, a familiar face to all of us. Also, it's Rob Maas. He's the field CTO of Ontoit, and everything he learns from what we see, he has to adjust the strategy of our customers to make sure that these things do not do any harm to those organizations. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, hacktivism. We talk a lot on about different types of hackers. It's about time that we talk about this specific group. Most of it, we talk about cyber criminals that do ransomware, for example, for financial gain. Nation-state actors, we love to talk about them because they have the coolest tech, more or less, right? But hacktivism is also a real thing. So let's explore a little bit. Yuri, could you explain what motivates what is a hacktivist?
Well, a hacktivist is similar in a sense to a nation state, where they are definitely politically motivated, but instead of a nation state being directly backed by a nation, they're not. They're just on their own initiative, doing their thing, trying to get their word out, their message out.
So everybody with an opinion can try to become a hacktivist then?
Yeah.
Okay. And this particular, I mentioned the APT Handala group, right? What's their cause?
Their cause is a very, very strong pro-Palestinian movement, anti-Israeli movement. So they have been especially active during the recent surge in the conflict there. They're motivated purely with a sense of disrupting anything and everything Israeli.
Do we have any notable examples, Rob?
I think they had a big, bold claim that they took down parts of the Iron Dome. So I think, if that's, I'm not sure if it is verified or not, but at least that they have claimed it. I think that's a pretty massive thing that they have done then. Yeah.
Okay. So let's explore how this group works. And we thought we'd use the Lockheed Martin Kill Chain model or philosophy to explain all this. It's 7 steps that every hacker needs to go through to end up at the last step. The last step is act on objectives. Now, we just heard about disrupt right here, or hinder the Israeli forces. That's the objective here. But there are in total 7 steps to get there. And well, let's explore them one by one, and then also we'll ask you what this group does to achieve this step, and then we get to Rob because he has to solve this, right? Yeah. Let's try to make it hard for him. Okay. So the first one is reconnaissance, right? What's the goal of reconnaissance? Why do we have this step first? Why does a hacker do this?
Well, reconnaissance in a general sense is just to define the target. It's the preliminary step to figure out the scope of the attack, where they can attack, how they can attack, who they're going to attack. Now, for something like a nation-state APT, this reconnaissance step would primarily be focused around identifying the target's infrastructure and entry points and stuff
Systems,
like that.
IP addresses, that stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But for a hacktivist group like APT Handala, their primary goal of reconnaissance is to identify their targets via social media or via the internet, just in general. Not specifically on target networks, but on target people. Identifying people through stuff like LinkedIn is a major step. Identifying spokespeople for specific organizations with a strong anti-Israeli sense.
And why? Because they want to get into their systems, or they want to target them with emails, or shame them, or what?
Mostly to target them with emails and other phishing tactics. It's not necessarily focused on actually exploiting infrastructure, but more focused on exploiting people.
Rob, what are you going to do against this?
This is already a very hard one because you cannot do much about it. So the main thing here is awareness that everything you put on the internet can be found by anyone. So also including this group.
But most people are on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so it would be nice if For as an example, if you have a very specific operating system or very specific system that your people won't say, hey, I'm engineer of system X on LinkedIn, for example, because then you're already giving away, hey, we run system X. But yeah, it's really hard. It's really a soft measure. And I prefer always that we can do things really with systems and techniques.
So you prefer not to focus your efforts on...
No, awareness is good to do, but it's not where you win these kinds of battles. Yeah.
Luckily, we have 7 steps and we only have to catch them once. Huh?
Correct.
Yeah,
That's the benefit.
So
for
the
us.
next one is weaponization, Yuri. What is that?
Weaponization is the stage purely used to arm the bomb, to get ready to actually exploit some flaw, either human or physical, or digital, sorry. In this case, for the group, weaponization is usually the creation of specific crafted malicious phishing emails or SMSs or other messaging that either contain links to malicious domains, either contain malicious files that contain other payloads, maybe like a PDF that has some exploitation measures inside of them. We commonly see with this group that they craft their emails and their SMSs in Hebrew, which again shows that they specifically target Israeli organizations.
So this step is completely done in your own home, more or less, right? You're writing your email, you're setting up some infrastructure, etc. So I'm betting that Rob is not going to help us here, right, Rob?
This is the step where we can do absolutely nothing.
Okay.
It's completely offline for us.
Delivery.
Yeah.
That's the next step. What does that mean?
Well, the delivery, that's well, if the previous step was arming the bomb, then the delivery is literally delivering the bomb. In this case, it's those same emails that they crafted beforehand. It's just sending them out in bulk towards all the listed targets. Now, this can go via emails. This can also go, again, via SMS. Doesn't matter how it gets there, as long as it gets to a person who has the potential to open something malicious and detonate it.
So this is the first time your organization actually sees something about that someone is trying to target you. Before, but in the early stage, you will probably not see it.
Yes.
At least not with this.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to be more happy yet?
Yeah, finally we can do something.
Yeah.
Still,
tell us all about it.
Yeah, so still awareness is a thing here, but now we can also put some real measures in place. So like anti-spam filters, also maybe blocking attachments if there are any attachments, scan for the attachments. Well, sometimes that's in the anti-spam. Also making sure that the URLs in the email themselves are not clickable, or that at least the firewall, for example, will block them. So we have a lot of measures here that we can hopefully prevent the email from reaching the target, or at least preventing them from opening any files that are in there.
Yeah, because it's probably very hard to make sure that nobody ever clicks on a link.
That's impossible. So in the end, if it is a mass email, then you might be able to filter out, hey, this looks like very generic, it might be spam. But if it is more spear phishing, that's more targeted to one organization or even one person, then it's becoming really hard to see if the link is valid or not. So in the end, people will click.
And user training is the myth that you need to train our users.
Yeah, awareness is always good, but I would say awareness is the best thing about awareness is that people say, okay, but I accidentally clicked, and are not afraid to tell that in the company so that people can take action. So awareness is a good thing to do, but also foster a culture where people are not afraid to say, hey, I might accidentally click a link, or I saw something.
Isn't this becoming harder and harder because now we have AI? And I mean, before, if you need to write in Hebrew email, then you would probably learn the language. But nowadays, I mean, I can write it. I speak no words in Hebrew, but I can write it thanks to AI, right?
Yeah.
And they also can be really, really simple. Like you don't have to have a lot of knowledge to make a perfect phishing email. Yeah.
Correct.
Actually, we did a workshop the other day. We taught people who have no experience with hacking at all, or computers in general, and we just gave them a ChatGPT and we made a phishing website. It's so simple, and it looked really genuine.
So that means so awareness is good, like I said, but it will not solve the problem.
There needs to be technical measures in place.
There needs to be technical measures that will block the newly registered domains. The URLs will scan for things in the email.
Would you say it would be good that we say you can click on any link? That should be your
you
assumption?
should assume that every link will be clicked that you receive.
And then still you need to have the protection to block the delivery.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Human error will always be the largest CVE.
And we cannot rely on patching it because maybe we can replace humans with AIs.
That's a few years out.
Yeah, save that for another thread.
Yeah, next season of we'll explain how that went.
We or the AI.
We'll just replace all of us with an AI.
Yeah, exactly.
You assume I'm not an AI. Yeah. So delivery, we can do a lot in delivery then. That helps. But we cannot be sure that that's in step 3. But we have 4 to go. Let's see. So the next one is exploitation.
Well, following the same bomb
analogy
that I was using. The bomb has been delivered. It has reached the target. Now it's time to detonate it, and that's the exploitation. In this case, for this APT, it's usually in the form of a URL being clicked, credentials being put into a phishing site, or the execution of a malicious attachment, either a zip file containing just a binary that is executed with a payload, or a PDF with malicious behavior built into it.
A credential phishing site, I can imagine, is fairly easy to make. What do they do, this group?
This group, they do phishing attacks where they literally just try to phish for credentials. Mm-hmm. Their primary focus, however, is to use existing credential dumps from other hacks, can be completely unrelated to the target at hand. Just try credential stuffing. Once they know usernames, they can just try brute forcing those usernames until they get a hit and gain entry into anything, and from there they continue.
Yeah, but then this step, exploitation, generally is a more difficult step for the attacker. I mean, because you need some kind of binary. Then once you have the credentials, you need to install something to elevate privileges. That's also what you're talking about, I think.
That's true in a sense, but mainly for this APT, their goal isn't to get like the highest privileges in somebody's network. Their main goals are the disruption of services and the exfiltration of data. You don't really need high privileges for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, any employee of any company has access to at least some data, which they might already find sufficient for their attack. And as long as they can deploy their wipers or deploy ransomware or anything on a high-value target machine, then they're done. They don't really need access to the entire
Viper is not this step yet, I think.
No. No.
Okay, we'll get. So the exploitation, Rob. What can we do against this? Yeah. So because he just managed to have someone click on a link and the delivery went on because we weren't able to detect it. So now there's an executable on this machine.
Yeah. So we have a few options here. So first, we failed to prevent having the link from being clicked, whether it was awareness or any URL filtering. So the URL was clicked or the binary was downloaded, or it may be directly delivered. Then on the execution, we can rely on EDR software. So the endpoint detection and response that might say, hey, this binary has never been run before. Let's check if it is valid or not. So strict policies can help there. Even if the binary is seen as valid, then during the execution, proper EDR software will say, hey, this is really strange what this process is doing. I will kill it. So that's on the binary side. For the credential part, implement multi-factor authentication so that credential phishing is much, much harder. And even if you have credentials that you cannot easily use them.
So that's probably a technique that doesn't require you to type in stuff, like passkeys or so.
Yeah, also I like the trend where we go to passwordless authentication. Makes it also a bit harder, although we still have the problem that there's then one system, mainly email, that if you have access to that, you have
email
access
should
to
be
a
phased
lot
out as soon as possible anyway.
Yeah, that's a long debate.
But okay. So there's quite
some things you can do here. Yeah,
quite an important step to put some measures in place for attacks like this, and in general probably. Yeah. So the next step, Yuri, is after exploitation is installation. Yeah. What's the difference?
The difference is the exploitation is still trying to get into the system. At installation, they are in. They're trying to or they're ready to put their measures to good use to fulfill their attacks. Basically,
in their view.
In their view, of course, yeah. We're getting to the final steps before.
If you're a SOC analyst at Onto, you put yourself really in the hacker's mind.
Yeah,
you can see this. Okay.
Yeah. So for exploitation would be the execution of malicious payload or the stuffing of credentials into a login page somewhere. The installation would be actual execution of the payload doing something,
such as
a wiper malware, where the goal is to just wipe the entire machine clean, where it's run on.
Destroy information or make it malfunction so systems go down.
Yeah, exactly. Wiper, there is really only purpose to wiper malware, and that is the disruption of services. That you can't really do anything else with wiper malware. But the installation of wiper malware would be to actually load it into memory and have it go through the entire disk space to remove everything that can be found. And another part of their installations that we have seen would be not necessarily the destruction of data, but the exfiltration of data. So they were able to successfully stuff credentials into some page of their target. And then during the installation, they would start to retrieve all the juicy information that they might want to exfiltrate and potentially leak to the public.
Okay, what can we do against this? Rob?
Also for a few steps. So we already discussed EDR software that will help here. Can prevent the installation of the binary into the system, because most attacks wants to have persistence on the system. So if the system is being rebooted, they don't want to rely on the user clicking the binary again on the email, but that it will be automatically start with the system. So EDR software will help. Also hardening systems. So a lot of tools will make use of existing other tools on the system, living on the land it's called, to get that installation done or getting things into the registry or into automatic service startup. So hardening the system makes sure that the user doesn't have these tools, or at least doesn't have these privileges to run these tools, to make it much harder to get a successful installation.
Yeah, and depending on the operating system, this is either by default impossible already or really hard to do.
Yeah, that's correct.
Not naming any
sometimes it takes some time to get it done.
Okay. Yeah. So, but what's not clear to me yet, you say it's also the exfiltration part could be here as well. Don't we need next steps for this?
No, not the exfiltration. The gathering of the data they might want to exfiltrate.
Yeah. Okay. The autonomous part of it.
Exactly.
Without any... because the next step is command and control.
Yeah.
What's command and control?
Well, command and control in a general sense is to control and command whatever you might have attacked or gotten access to within a target system. In this case, command and control for this group is much more plain. It isn't necessarily to send commands to certain systems. It might be. We have seen that the Handala wiper, which they've used before, does have a C2 component, but it's very limited. Mm-hmm. The main part of C2 for this group would be the exfiltration of the actual data. And I
can also imagine that you first want to focus on spreading your malware more, and then in one big bomb, wipe everything out at the same time. And for that you would need, you could probably set a timer, say at midnight or so, but on a certain date. But it's much more convenient that you can send a message.
Yeah.
How do these things get implemented typically?
The group has a very strong presence on channels like Telegram, apps like Telegram, where they spread their message, their malicious links, and they use that as an attack factor for their targets as well.
Yeah. So it could be that the malware that's installed up to now also connects to a Telegram channel, and that's a form of command and control.
Yeah, that would be considered.
Is it always malware that's phoning home?
Mostly,
control?
Yes. At least for this group, yes. You also have the other way around, passive backdoors, but we don't really see this group doing that. It requires much more sophisticated level of attacks. In this case, it's usually just phoning home.
So the malware, once we get to this stage, you could see some traffic going out to some because this sounds a bit like a weak point.
Yeah.
Right. You'd better make it autonomous, like we have Stuxnet that we have seen. That was on the other side of this conflict, I think. Yeah. So Rob, this guy wants to command and control. What can we do against that?
So we can put network filters in place. So DNS is often used, so DNS filtering is very worthwhile to do here. Also,
by that you mean that the malware requests a certain host name, and it will get an IP address back. Of course, that's how DNS works. And the IP address is the codification or text records, or
sometimes, the DNS request itself. So it's going to a host name that's owned by the attacker in most cases, and then they can prepend the subdomain in front of the domain that will also end up with the attacker, and then you can there, for example, leak information. That's one way of doing it. The other way is using Telegram, X, so previously known as Twitter.
I thought this group was banned from X at some point.
Yeah, they were.
they were. They are. They were. It's,
oh, really?
Yeah. With blocking, let's start with servers. Servers should not have any access to external systems whatsoever, unless very specific and very much required.
Yeah, the Telegram connection shouldn't be possible.
No.
Why would you allow a server?
Exactly. So
to connect to Telegram?
that's the easy part. The hard part here is often the user systems.
You say the easy part. Let me pause you there for a moment, because is this common practice within organizations?
Unfortunately, it's not.
Yes,
but it is easy to do. But
so it's low-hanging fruit to defend yourself against.
I would say it's low-hanging fruit. You can easily figure out what a system needs.
And very effective.
Yeah. Even if malware is installed, you can prevent it before from becoming active if there is no command and control system in most cases. But on user systems, this is quite hard, because we're now in a time where we allow people to go to the internet freely most of the times, and we put some URL filtering in place. But I think if you test it out, that most users can just run or go to Telegram or WhatsApp or x.com. And that can also be used by these malware.
The trick is to use a very commonly used ecosystem.
And
tie into that, so you blend in with the regular traffic.
Yeah, and then detecting if there is anything sent that looks like command and control traffic is really hard. But it's even much harder because not everyone has implemented decryption. I would even say just a small part of organizations have decryption. So if it is encrypted, then you're more or less lost in protecting yourself from command and control traffic coming in, and then you solely rely on your EDR system.
You also mentioned DNS. I mean, if the exfiltration or the command and control is through DNS, I mean, every server has DNS enabled, kind of, because otherwise nothing would work, right? So how do we?
So there are a few options here. DNS security that, for example, can filter out the domain generation algorithm, DGA, that's often used. So then the malware will generate a lot of domain names, and only a few are valid. And you can figure that out.
Where is this implemented? In the DNS server itself, or is it in the firewall?
Mostly in firewalls. Yeah, sometimes you have external software for it, but mostly in the firewalls. And that can, for example, detect, hey, this host name is of this domain name has getting a lot of subdomains, so this looks like a domain generation algorithm that's being used. So that's one way of detecting it. Another one, very simple, is check for newly registered domains. So
don't resolve them. Yeah.
Don't resolve them. Most of the times they are only short-lived, there for a few days, and then they're already detected, because then the threat intel is being shared, and then the attacker moves on to the next one. So that's very effective. But sometimes some attackers that plan more in advance will have a few domain names ready that are already registered for at least more than 30 days.
Clear. Last step is act on objectives. Is this the final step where we can't do anything anymore, or how does that work?
Well, if the attackers get to this step, you're kind of lost already. This is the step where they do actually achieve their exfiltration of data. They achieve the wiping of a target system. When you get to this point, there's not a lot that Rob would be able to do. At this point, the target machine is wiped. The data is exfiltrated, and they'll be getting ready to share their success on their social media platforms.
So what does APT Handala do in this step?
APT Handala, well, they like to boast about their attacks. They have their own website accessible either via an onion link, but they also just have a regular domain. Where
onion link is?
Onion link, that's a URL. It's like a domain name, but it's only usable over the dark web. So you need a Tor browser to travel to an onion link because it will be proxied through a lot of different servers. I don't think there's a single APT worth its salt that doesn't have its own domain and an onion link, unless they specifically don't.
But the whole goal is to spread the word, so you can make your news only available in the dark web for the other hackers, but that's not their goal. So therefore, they also have a regular site.
They have a regular site. They have a Telegram channel. They have very known accounts on a lot of major forums online, like breach forums. They have a Twitter account or X account. They have many different ways of spreading their message, of boasting for their attacks, of saying, hey, we did this. And that includes also the leaking of data that they might have exfiltrated. Whereas another APT or a ransomware gang might exfiltrate data just as like a backup for if the customers doesn't want to pay the ransom. APT Handala exfiltrates their data with the primary function of leaking that data, sensitive information about user accounts on specific websites, sensitive information, technical specifications for the military.
And this is probably where hacktivists are different from all the other groups, huh? Because so far we've heard a lot of defense that we should apply anyway, and it's effective for multiple types of attackers. But this is a different thing. Yeah. Is there anything in particular we can do against this? For example, if you are likely on the receiving end of a group like this, and we talk now about Israel, but it could also be oil companies or governments and all that. Is there anything in communication, for example? What's a good way to respond to this if you are the victim?
It depends a bit, I think. In general, I think if you become a victim, it's good to be open about it. So of course, you can have a discussion on what details do we bring out, but just to open up and tell what's going on and also how you approach the solving of the problem. I think that's good to do. We have seen it in the past. It's always appreciated by a lot of people. Hey, okay, we know now what's going on, why the phone is not picked up or whatever.
I can also imagine in this case, if the Israeli forces will rather not say, yes, they hacked us.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite sensitive for those kind of
downplay it. No, but they must have some kind of playbook. What is the playbook of the Israelis against this? I mean,
mostly deny. Pretty much every attack against direct Israeli organizations, either the military or critical infrastructure for Israel, has been deny. There was a breach for the Israeli police. Handala has leaked data about it. The internet pretty much agrees that the attack actually happened. Israel does not agree. They deny.
No confirmed sources for journalists and everything. So, and that's why we say allegedly they did this, but
exactly,
it very much looks like it. It quacks like a duck, right? But, yeah. Okay. So downplaying this we always advocate be open about everything, but maybe this is the best strategy if you're in a political fight. Then.
Yeah. The difference between a group like Handala and other APTs is that a nation-state APT might target a lot of different organizations from a lot of different nations. In that case, be open about it, because all the mistakes that you made, people can learn from. But in this case, since pretty much the only target is Israel and Israeli-backed organizations, there is no benefit to sharing that data. If you're attacked,
yeah, they probably do that internally in their national cybersecurity center.
Yeah, but they wouldn't state it online saying, "Hey, we got breached again."
Hey, and what if you are indeed in the oil industry and there's some environmental organization that attacks you? Is it the same? Should those is the best playbook for them to defend? Also to deny and to say it's not really an attack or it wasn't that sophisticated, small portion of the network, whatever.
I think it also depends on the actual impact it will have. If a lot of people are impacted, then you should do something, whether as a government or as a company, to address this. So you should need some kind of openness. How far you will go, that's still a debate, I think. But you need to inform people, hey, this is the reason why you cannot get water or electricity or whatever is being hacked.
What I hear from you both is always be open about as much as possible, unless you have a really good reason.
Yeah.
Well, with that, let's conclude this episode of Threat Talks. Gentlemen, thank you very much to give us an insight in the interesting world of hacktivists. And I'm happy that we have so many things that we can do against it to prevent those things. So thank you both. And for our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today. Well, if you did, don't forget to like us because we would like that. And while you're in that area of your podcast app, also press the subscribe button because that means that next week you have yet another episode of Threat Talks. And here from the headquarters at Onto-It, I thank you once again and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by Onto-It Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.